Now? All right, perfect. As you guys know, we make these available to our membership after because we know everybody has a schedule that might not permit them to join us. But want to go ahead and I have a couple of things towards the end, but want to go ahead and turn it over to Clay and say thank you again for your partnership and your keeping us informed of what's happening over there at the State House as we finish up week two. Is that right?
Yep,
Yeah,
that's right.
week two. So I'll just turn it over to you to let us know what's happening.
Well, thank you, Paige, and happy Valentine's Day to everyone. I know this is one of those jolts for small businesses in your community. A lot of folks spending money, should be spending money, or they're going to get in trouble, uh, myself included. But we did wrap up week two, and we are 6 days in now. So next Tuesday, we'll start day seven. So we love that six of them are gone, but it has been a very busy 6 weeks. They have or excuse me, 2 weeks. As I mentioned on the last call, without a sitting pro tem, the Senate wasn't able to pre-file bills. So the first week obviously was a flurry of bills that uh, made our team had to go into overtime to get up to speed on what we're dealing with. Um, the big thing that really is just really shot out of the gate is something that I think we would all agree is really good. Alabama has around 400,000 veterans per capita. We are one of I think we're number two per capita, maybe in numbers of veterans. Um, and one of the bills that shot out really quick out of the Senate was the Alabama Veterans Resource Center. That will be, and now it's gotten out of committee in the House, so I would imagine, and hopefully they'll take it up next week. It'll be create hubs, these resource centers that would be to help with employment opportunities, healthcare services, education benefits, mental health support, things that really veterans need and can be a one-stop shop to help them. So that bill is a really wonderful bill that is on the fast track and rightfully so. I mentioned the immigration bills that have been in the both some senators and House members were interested in those. Our team has been diligent on the front end of those to get them into a place that they're not placing any hardships on businesses who are doing things right and respecting the immigration laws, et cetera. And so we're at a really good place on those. The House passed a few of them, or excuse me, the Senate passed a few of them out last week or this week, excuse me. And then the House is expected to drop theirs after a press conference uh, uh, on Tuesday, and so they'll be working through those. Um, PBMs, they're back. Not only is there one PBM, there are two PBMs. There are two competing groups who are fighting over this issue. There is a public hearing next week set in the Senate, and y'all really, my heart goes out to my former colleagues because of these two groups. They're just getting pommeled over there in the Senate. Our position remains clear on this. We certainly are in favor of PBM reform, because it is certainly a broken system, and but and so there's several parts of these bills that we're fine with. We have absolutely no problem with. Where we do have a problem is asking businesses and their employees to and consumers out in the state to be saddled with the burden. The bills, they claim that there's still that. Remember last year that $10.64 dispensing fee that it places at point of sale. The advocates for this say, and then it's there in the bill that they can't go up on. There's guardrails that they think the advocates of this think forces the PBM to eat those costs. Well, we're just not seeing that, and they've yet to help us to understand how you force the PBM to eat the cost and not pass it back down to consumers. I would give you this example. If the legislature passed a bill that said trucking companies could not uh, pass down the cost if fuel prices goes up, I don't know how that works. How does the trucking company not? I mean, as a former business owner, I can think of a million ways that I could pass that cost back down. Call it a fee, call it overhead, call it whatever you want. You're going to pass that cost back down in either increased anything, premiums, fees, you name it. And so, I just, I still don't understand how the big bad PBMs eat this cost and does not pass it back down somehow to businesses, employees, and consumers. I don't understand that, and I frankly think that they're feeding folks a bill of goods on this. So and we're trying to be helpful. President Trump has talked a lot about the PBM problem. There have been two congressional studies that have come out detailing where the problems are, and there are antitrust issues. I mean, you've had either uh, big box drug companies or large insurance companies that now own the PBMs, and that's part of the problem that needs broken up. And so, my fear is they're going to ask my former colleagues to pass this fee on, and the real fix is in Washington. So, we're still working to try to get them out of a tough spot and to keep from having to make a decision that I worry is gonna bite them, because they are feeling a lot of pressure from these pharmacists, a lot of pressure. And again, as I say, those two competing groups. The other is Alpha Insurance wants to get in the health insurance business. That's great. That's fine. We obviously love more competition. The only problem with this is it is an unregulated product, so it would not be regulated like Blue Cross or United or anyone like that. It would be unregulated. BCA's worry with that is under ACA guidelines, um, insurance companies can no longer deny for pre-existing conditions. So this unregulated product could potentially allow them to pick and choose, cherry pick, if you will, healthy people out of um, employer-sponsored health plans. So if that's able to happen, and they say that's not what they want to do, and our response is, okay, that's fine. We believe you, but put it in the bill. You should give businesses the comfort, particularly our small businesses who have, you know, employee sponsored health plans that they offer to their employees. And sometimes those smaller businesses, that's really how they get those good employees. Um, and so all we're asking, the amendment that we have is asking that they, if you are, that Alpha cannot, hold on, if a business provides health care to their employees, they can't get on this plan, because the fear again would be, you pull all the healthy people out of businesses' plans and you leave only unhealthy people. Well, we all know what's going to happen to those premiums. They're going to go up, and so we're just asking for that safeguard, because this is not comparing apples to apples. This is not creating another health insurance product that's regulated like every other one of them. And so hopefully we will be successful in safeguarding that. The unemployment benefits bill by Representative Oliver that I talked about last week, it got fixed, and it's in a much better spot. William Newman on our team did a great job on that, among some of the other business groups. The governor, y'all might have seen the governor, the speaker, and the pro tem, along with civic leaders, law enforcement from around the state, held a big press conference last week on their public safety package of bills. These bills are aimed at, keeping our communities safer, particularly our larger cities in Alabama, providing law enforcement with a little more tools that they can use to uh, get get bad folks off the streets. Obviously, safe communities are prosperous communities. So, we obviously won't, aren't helping to pass these bills, but are hopeful that they will pass to make sure that um, our state is a much safer place. You even have a bill that bans Glock switches. Um, and if you're not aware of that, that's a switch that you can even print on a 3D printer, that turns a semi-automatic firearm into a almost automatic firearm. That bill seems to have bipartisan support, and um, so it's seems to be on its way. There's been some legislative movement this week. Obviously, our organization and yours is very interested in the Fiscal Responsibility and Economic Development Committee in the Senate. The former chairman of that was Senator Gudger, who is now Pro Tem Gudger. So that opened up that chairmanship. He appointed Senator Lance Bell from Pell City to that post. Lance is a great guy. We became fast friends. He's in his first term, and so he is the new chairman of the Fiscal Responsibility and Economic Development Committee, or as we affectionately called it, FRED. And so we look forward to working with Lance in his new role. And then something else that shocked everyone, Representative Randall Shedd, who is just a phenomenal guy. His House district and my Senate district overlapped in our respective parts of Blount County. And Randall is just a wonderful guy, dedicated, dedicated public servant. I mean, not even close to being a politician. Truly one of the good guys that's there for the right reasons. Um, Surprised everybody, and is going to step down, we understand, next week to handle constituent services for Pro Tem Gudger. If you know Randall, I think that we really hate to lose him out of the legislature, but he is perfectly suited for that role. That's a new role that Garland is bringing into the pro tem's office, which I think is very wise. The whether you're the pro tem or the speaker, you're really busy being the pro tem or the speaker. And so you've got to make sure that you don't neglect your constituents back home. And in my opinion, if you're spending all that time in leadership, you should make that count for the people back home, and help get projects and funding and things like that back home. So Randall is perfectly suited for that, and I think that was a very wise move by him and by Pro Tem Gudger. Um, so yeah, that's pretty much it. There's a lot of movement, but it's been organized and tight. So they're doing a good job of keeping things moving, but in a responsible manner, it seems right now. Of course, again, it is week two, and things as we move along can get more hectic, and people can get strained a little bit. So that I'll open it up for some questions. And hey, Anna, tell Jay hi. He's doing a good job.
All right. Does anyone have any questions for Clay? Clay, do you have the number on the bill, the Veterans Resource Center bill?
Let's see. SB 70. Yep. SB 70.
And does that integrate all of the other, is that a comprehensive veterans bill that I know there's been a lot of
No,
talk?
it's
Okay.
yeah, that's a good question. No, it's not the restructuring of the
Okay.
Department of Veterans Affairs. That bill would, they had a lot of issues there over the past 6 months,
Yeah.
longer than that, in my opinion. And so that seeks to previously that that was the board appointed the director. And so what the governor's bill is proposing is the governor would appoint the director, which is probably a reasonable ask. But then I think where the controversy came in is it narrowed who's on the board,
Mhm.
and then it also shifted the board's role from more governance to um, what's the word, advisory.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So that's that
Okay.
that's a different one. That bill was in the Senate last week and was carried over.
Okay. All right. Does anyone have and I appreciate your comments on the PBM that since I came 4 years ago, that has continued to kind of build and um I've heard some conversation, pharmacy friends, mainly just that it really is a federal issue, should be a federal issue.
Yeah, Paige, and I look, my uncle's a pharmacist. Some of my you know folks that were my biggest supporters back home were pharmacists. So I mean, we've had a ample discussion about this, and I've had others that have called, upset about our position on this, and what I've posed to all of them that worries me, because this does need fixed. There's no question. I mean, it is broken. Um, my worry for them is that, and I've posed them this question: do you think that a big part of this fix is in Washington? Unanimous yes. When I asked them, have you contacted your federal delegation or have you been asked to? by these advocates, every one of them to the person said no. And that worries me. And frankly, if I'm those PBMs, um, I'd be grinning from ear to ear about that. I mean, I wouldn't want to be dealing with them here, but I sure wouldn't want to be dealing with it in Washington. And so, I do. I think, that personally worries me about the whole the situation as a whole. Um, I think they're asking the legislature to do a whole lot when the real fix is elsewhere. And that doesn't, if I were still over there, I'd be mad about that. I would be mad about it. And I think some probably are from what I hear. So we'll see.
So Clay, when our local pharmacies are reaching out to us for help, is that what we need to tell them, that they need to carry it to Washington, or allow us when we do our Washington fly-ins to deliver that message for them, that it needs to be something fixed in Washington?
Yeah, Rick, I mean, I think, um, most of them that I've talked to about that, it's kind of like a light bulb's going off. Like, you're right. I mean, we've been so focused on this that we haven't even thought about that. I, you know, so yeah, I think so. That I really think, not to put that off on our friends in DC, but they're not going to. I mean, they're dealing with so many other things unless they're hearing from folks, you know, and not generally not going to have any action. Same goes for the Alabama legislature. So, yeah, I absolutely do, and I think that they're when you pose that to them, you're going to see the same thing I've seen of, no, we haven't done that. Some may, but for the most part, no. Yeah.
Anna, did you have a question?
Well, I wondered, I was curious, any chance these two competing bills are gonna annoy everyone and no one's gonna support either one of them from your lens? Like, I have heard a little bit about the infighting sort of, or
Yeah.
it seems as if that's what it seems like. And instead of just being consolidated in their effort to improve the situation, they are digging their heels in about certain prideful things, I guess, to whoever can get the vote. And so it just seems counterintuitive for progress. And I was just curious, and you're talking to the two sides, are either of them willing to make that concession, or they're just in it for what they are in it for?
You nailed it, and I bet you've got a little insight on that. Yeah, I mean, there is there's especially one side that is, it's definitely a pride thing. It's a political thing. It's I'd go ahead and use the word nefarious. Some of the some of the players in that, and so I think they're definitely hurting themselves a lot. Um, what there's two things that worry me in that. Number one, um, that it forces the legislature to take the lesser of two evils, because there are there are parts in these bills, both bills, that are, not evil, but are not good, and that I really think that down the road is going to blow up on them. I don't think that. I know that. And then they're not going to give them the cover. These same groups aren't going to give them the cover when everybody is mad I mean, you take a older guy on fixed income, and he's going in there to get his prescription, and all of a sudden he's having to pay $10.64. And look, and we're still, full disclosure, still waiting on the numbers to get back to be able to get over there and talk to them about, not sure if that'll happen or not. They say it don't, it's not, but trust, but verify. But in other words, when the PBMs, what we do know is there's no way the PBM's just going to eat this cost, right? I mean, there's no way to do that, and they've convinced some of them over there that, oh yeah, they'll eat the cost, or this will happen and it'll all even out and all that. Right now, we're just not seeing that, and my fear for them is you're going to have right at about election time, this thing's going to be kicking in, and all these folks out here are going to be mad as heck. And then these folks ain't going to be anywhere to be found. And then BCA and y'all and everybody else is going to be saying, we told you, we tried. And then you're still not going to solve the problem. And then probably the legislature in the next session is going to repeal it all. Maybe new legislature, depending on how mad everybody gets. So yeah, I mean, that's a long answer, but yeah, they're definitely not helping themselves on that fighting. But my fear is again, it forces the legislature to pick the lesser of very two evils. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Anyone else have a question for Clay? Thank you, as always, for your insight and your candor. I think for those last mile messengers, each of our local chambers that may have these interests on their board and certainly in their membership, whether it's PBM or any of the others, we appreciate that. And wanted to remind everybody that about Tuesday morning briefings. Last week was, or this week, we're still in the same week. This week was Lieutenant Governor Ainsworth. And those are available on the BCA website, correct? I believe.
Right.
Yes. If you were unable to join us here in Montgomery at 9 a.m. on Tuesday morning, or you can certainly see it Facebook Live on Tuesday, I believe, but then they are available on the website. Next Tuesday will be Senate Pro Tem Gudger.
That's right.
Correct. So again, Tuesday morning, 9 a.m. Always great to hear direct from them. And speaking of, wanted to certainly make sure that you all are registering soon for Capitol Day, Chamber Day at the Capitol, which will be March the 5th. We will hear from Lieutenant Governor Ainsworth, Senate Pro Tem Gudger, Speaker Ledbetter, Governor Ivey, Senate Minority Leader Daniels, and lots of other of our legislative friends, and have an opportunity for you all to spend some time with your delegation at the State House. So hope that you will go to our website and register for that today. Please. Love to have you all with us here in Montgomery. So last, I'll just mention today, Executive Leadership Conference registration will open. So go ahead and register for that. We'll be in Auburn. Thank you. Anna is going to be hosting us in Auburn in April. So unless anyone has anything else for the greater good, again, thank you, Clay, for everything that you guys do. Thank you for being great partners and keeping us informed of what's happening. For those of you who are doing, I know Rick does a DC fly-in. For anyone else doing a DC fly-in, certainly might be worth a conversation of what messages need to be carried to Washington. if you guys want to have that conversation, I think Clay and Caroline and the team would be open to that. I don't want to speak for them, but
Absolutely.
all right. Anybody have anything else? Anna, thank you so much for everything and for joining us. And we will see you guys soon. Have a wonderful weekend.
Y'all too. Thank
Thanks.
you.
Mm.